Hello and welcome to the tutorial video for Tin Realm. Tin Realm is a standalone game in the Tin Helm universe. You can use some of the cards from Tin Realm in your Tin Helm game, and if you already own Tin Helm, you can use some of those cards in Tin Realm. But first we're going to look quickly at the game mat that you can also purchase during the crowd sale and typically get a pretty good deal on. This is one of the larger mats from the Game Crafter. It has all of your tracking information built into it and spaces for all of your cards. You even left a nice little spot over here for rolling your dice, and so the game mat's nice for keeping dice rolls quiet. It's a nice neoprene mat, and I do sell quite a few of these whenever I have a game, so it's just something certain people like, some people don't. But you don't necessarily need it, it just keeps the game organized. So let's take a look at the actual game itself. First thing we're going to do is just a quick, as quick as I can possibly do, that is, video on the unboxing of everything that comes in this little tiny tin. I will give you a little fair warning. There is a cat roaming around off camera and there is a small dog, so there could be some interruptions, and if that happens, it happens. So let's move on. Let's take a look inside the tin, see what we get. Just like all of my other games, I try to pack it with as much as I can. And take this tin off to the side. And let's take a look what we got. We got some bits, we got some dice for combat. We have bits for tracking things. We have a little meeple that's used to keep track of what day it is. Instead of dungeon levels like you have in Tin Helm, in Tin Realm, you're keeping track of the number of days it takes you to get to your the town you're trying to get to. You have cubes for tracking your enemy's health. You have a cube for tracking your own health. A cube for poison, which we will discuss later. Yes, there is now poison in the Tin Realm, I should say. You have a tracker here to keep track of your energy. So this will be for favor. This one will be for energy. We don't know our energy yet. We have to build a character, and here's one for our food. So let's move on. What else comes in here? A bunch of cards. We'll get into the smaller cards in a moment. We do have some promo cards that get people very excited, so let's talk about those briefly, and before we get into the meat and potatoes of Tin Realm. We have this Grimwald, who's the character from the box cover of Iron Helm. This card is for a game called Dragon Spark, designed by Peter Jank, and he is going to be running a crowd sale at the same time I'm running the crowd sale for Tin Realm. So we did a little cross promotion where I included a card for his game, and in his game he has a card included for this game. He has a character card, the Catfolk, and there's a picture of that in this description of the game. But there will be a promo pack coming out in the future, so don't be discouraged that you won't be able to have a complete copy of this game. You will be able to get a copy of the Catfolk in that promo pack that should be coming. That promo pack itself should be coming out in a couple of months. So you have that in here. You also have, for one of my own games, something people have been asking for, a promo for Dust Runner, which just came out last year, and this is more double-sided cards, so you can build more unique cars. So with adding these 3 double-sided cards, I think the combination of cars you can create goes up from 8 to over 30. So this is a huge addition to the game. You can just use the back side of this with the existing cards, or however you want to do it. You can build all sorts of unique vehicles for Dust Runner. So that's an exciting little bonus that comes in Tin Realm. Now, let's take a look at some of the cards actually for Tin Realm. Okay, one of the fun things that is part of the Tin Helm and Tin Realm experience is creating your character. So in Tin Realm, you have a total of 3 race/character cards to choose from, and you will choose one race. So let's say we choose the Dweller, and then we flip over the other cards, and then these are the 2 classes we get to choose from. So let's say we chose a Dweller and then the Ranger. If we did that, we would combine the heart symbols on both. So we have 7 health here plus 4 health here for a total of 11 max health. We could then put our poison thing on the little skull here. We don't have any poison yet, luckily. Energy would be 7 plus the 3 shown on the class card for a starting energy of 10. 0 food, not great. We're gonna have to try to find some food. Favor is also at 0, and this little cube here is used to track your enemy's health. So we're all set up. We could put these cards off to the side. Now, every class has a special ability. So for the Dweller may spend 2 favor to gain 1 food. He may also spend 1 favor to re-roll the enemy's attack dice. So he's sort of elusive in combat. The Ranger, so your class will give you your bonuses to health and energy. It'll also tell you what bonus damage you do based on the number of energy you spend in combat. So if he were to spend 1 energy, he would get to add 2 to his total roll, or to his roll. If you spent 2 energy, he'd get to roll 5. And if he spends 3 energy, he'd get to add 7, but you have to spend that energy before you make your roll, so it's a little bit of a pressure luck mechanic there. And it also tells you your starting equipment, or your trappings that you start the game with. And the Ranger starts with the short bow and the Raven. So let's move on to the trapping cards. Just like in Iron Helm, you have double-sided cards for that. I should have maybe had this completely organized off camera, but that's not very much fun. I am missing my one. Oh yeah, maybe there's only 3 loot cards. That's why I can't find it. There's only 3 loot cards. I'm sorry, 3 trapping cards. So here's the trapping cards. We have the Iron Helm. On the back side of that, we have the Raven. We have the short bow. We have the staff, we have the amulet, and we have the broadsword. So our character tells us we start with the Raven and the short bow. We could take this other trapping card and remove it from play. What do these cards do? Well, the short bow attacks with the short bow ignore the enemy's defense. So they pierce through armor. It makes sense thematically. So you could just place that in one of these spots here that you have. And then the Raven here, once per dungeon level, you may spend 1 food to skip your enemy's turn to attack. So the theme there, or the idea behind that, is that you're feeding your Raven and he is going to go distract your enemy by flying into its vision or its view and sort of disrupts your combatant. So you start with those 2 cards and you have them throughout the course of the game. And that's pretty much how setup works. The game obviously does include tracker cards because you don't have the game mat with the base game. So if you buy just the game, you'll have a way to track all of your stats, just like we have up here. On the back side of these, there's a map that you can build. And this is really just more for theme than anything. And it's the same map you'll see up here in a moment, but it just shows the names of the different locations, sort of to add a little bit of theme and world building to the game. So those I'll place off of screen because we're going to be using the ones integrated into the actual game mat. You have your instruction cards. There are 10 double-sided instruction cards, and they go over everything you could possibly want to know about how to play the game. And I did my best job of showing all sorts of diagrams and information in here to make it pretty easy to understand how to play. The game also, just like Tin Helm, comes with some reference cards that shows you how different random encounters work. So you have a card for the altar, and the backside explains how the campsite works. There's some new encounters you'll run into, like the Wanderer. There is also now a card for water. So whenever you have to resolve the water icon, nothing's changed as far as the mechanics, but I thought I would do a nice illustration to kind of create more theme for the game, and it gives you a nice quick way of referencing how water works. You have the grove, nothing's really changed there, except now there's the potential chance of getting poisoned in the grove. You have a crossroads, which is a new thing, which allows you to advance on the map, which we'll see here in a moment. And then we have the Warden, the Oak Warden, and the Oak Warden also allows you to spend favor to get different sorts of blessings. So there's a lot of ways in Tin Realm to spend your gained favor instead of just trying to get a shard like you would in Tin Helm. In this game, there's lots of ways to spend your favor, which you gain from defeating enemies. And you can spend them in different ways with your character abilities and with some of these encounters. And then, of course, what would a game from Grey Gnome Games be without a labyrinth they get lost in and have to spend food? So there's a little spot here to keep those in order. And we'll go over these last, I think. And then we'll go over enemies before that. Then we have some loot cards. Loot cards are gained in various ways. Mostly from treasure chests, and you have smoke dust, trail map, which helps you move along the map quicker. You have some pipe weed, you have an antidote, which is for poison. You have a cleaver, you have sun's edge, you have a tree heart, and you have an elixir. So there's a nice spot for all of your loot cards here. Let's take a look quickly at some of the enemy cards that are in the game. You have the Blood Cap, which is one of the enemies that can give you some poison. Not much fun. He's a pretty nasty fellow. You have the Death Mage, also not fun. The Death Mage heals for 2 health every time they successfully hit during combat. So you're going to want to kill this guy as quickly as possible, or he's going to start healing himself. That's never good. Dark Rats make a return. They're the only enemy that carries over from Iron Helm, and the main reason I included them is if you're using characters from previous promo packs from Iron Helm, you might have the ability to charm Dark Rats. So I wanted them to be included in this game, so if you wanted to play that type of character, you could run into Dark Rats still and charm them. There is the Bone Stalker. He's sort of a middle of the pack type enemy, not too tough. You have the Golem, which is probably the most fearsome character in the game. If your attack deals 0 damage to the Golem, so he has a defensive 2, so if for some reason you do 0 damage to him, he gets to add 3 to his next attack. So yeah, not great. He can devastate you. What would one of these games be without something creepy like a Crawl Bone? So he's not a very tough enemy, but he does have great defense. So my character would actually be really good against some of these characters with defense, because I get to ignore enemies' defense. You have the Spider Bane, another weaker enemy, but he does cause poison, and poison will move up every time you get it. And if your poison and health ever are at the same spot or pass each other, you die. So that's how poison works. Pretty simple mechanic there, but it does add a lot of tension to the game. There is also the Dire Wolf. You may avoid combat with the Dire Wolf by spending 1 food. That sort of harkens back to Iron Helm for any of you who are fans of Iron Helm. And then you have the Brigand, who's just your common little thief character, or your bandit, and not too tough, but the Brigand always attacks first, so they have that advantage, sort of like the Doom Skull used to. You may avoid combat with the Brigand by discarding a loot or trapping card. So you can basically bribe them with a loot card or a trappings card. So you have choices. I try to give you as many choices as I can, and then you'll put those off to the side. Next up, we have this card, your cards here for the actual map. So these are double-sided, and I'll just show you, let's put these out correctly in the correct order. That will be pretty obvious, the order they go into, because the roads will connect. They are double-sided, so you can create the difficulty level that you want to create for yourself. So you could have them all on the standard side, which has 3 nodes per card for a total of 12 nodes. and that's the easiest version of the game. But you can also flip over one or all of the cards. We'll just flip over two, and they now have 4 nodes, so it creates a longer journey for you to get back to home or to the finish of the game. So actually, you're not supposed to be using this guy for tracking the day. You're supposed to be using this one, and I should have a white cube somewhere, and I may have misplaced it for tracking your favor. I'll have to look for that off camera. But you're actually using your meeple on your map card. So he will start here, and as you progress through the game, through certain actions that you take that I'll explain to you in a moment, you will start moving along here, and this is the only way to win this game. So you're not looking for shards, you're just trying to get to the end of the game. And if you're familiar with Dust Runner, you'll understand how that works, except how you actually move along here is slightly different. So we're going to take a little pause, and then we're going to take a look at, I'm going to go try to see if I can find that cube, and then we're going to start discussing really the heart of this game, and that is the exploration deck, and how that works and how it's different from from Tin Helm. Okay, let's talk about this exploration deck. Now this is going to work very similar to Tin Helm, with some slight differences, some little twists. So what you'll do is you'll shuffle this deck up at the beginning of the day. It's not dungeon levels, it's the beginning of the day. And you're going to keep the landscape sort of side up, and you're going to look at it, and you're going to decide if you want to resolve this card or not. Just like in Tin Helm, you're going to have little icons here that are going to give you a clue as to what is going to be in this little region. And this one here will have a trap that's indicated there by that icon, and this one here will also have a random encounter indicated by the question mark. You always have to resolve these from left to right. So that's basically all that was in Tin Helm. But in Tin Realm, I may screw this up during the course of this tutorial. I might say Tin Helm in place of Tin Realm because they're very similar, and I thought it was funny, but it might make a tutorial difficult. Anyways, these icons that you see on the edges, that's half of an icon, might be kind of difficult to see in this video, but right here we have half of a water icon, and right here we have half of a mountain icon. So that's something to consider, and I'll explain to you why in a moment. But let's say that we wanted to resolve this card. We want to resolve the top card. Well, we simply place the card to the side, and we take the next card in the deck, just like in Tin Helm, and we flip it over to the other side to see what happened in this region. So we did get the trap triggers, so it says we lose 2 health. So we would move our health down 2 spots. Not very good. And then we also got the random encounter of the Oak Warden. So we would look for the Oak Warden card, and we would read it to see what happens. Now eventually you may memorize all of these things, but that's why I have these cards here to make it simple for you. The Oak Warden will grant you one of the following blessings if you spend the favor indicated. So you only can do one. I could spend 1 to gain 3 health. I can spend 1 to gain 2 energy. I can spend 2 to remove all poison, one of the few ways of getting rid of poison in the game. Or I could spend 3 to move 1 space on the map cards. So that is really, any time you get an opportunity to move along here, I mean, that's really your end goal. So you got to take advantage of those when they show up. But seeing as how it's the beginning of the game, say this is the beginning of the game, I don't have the opportunity to do that because I don't have any favor yet, and you gain favor by defeating enemies. So I was sort of hoping for maybe a different location, but that is okay. So you got an idea of how that works. Now, since I resolved this card, this is where things get different. This one just gets discarded. We'll put it over here. This one we have to place into a tableau. So as you can see, I have a little tableau here, and I can just place it anywhere, and I can shift them whenever I want. And I'm not locked into where it's at. So right now I have this card. I visited the lakeside. I have to remember that I have an icon on this side of a water, and I have the icon of a moon here. So looking when next cards come up, I want to pay attention to the icons here, because then if I resolve a card that I can then add to my tableau that completes the matches the icon, then I get to move one space at the end of when I do that. So right away we have another one here that comes up, the high nest. The high nest is an enemy and a campsite. Well, this will give me an opportunity to show you how combat works. And there's a campsite which will hopefully heal me from, or partially heal me from, this combat. But more importantly, there's a forest on this side, but there's a mountain symbol on this side. So if I resolve this card, I can place it next to the lakeside and the mountains will match up. So I am going to resolve this card. We place that there, and then we have the Lost Spring on the other side, which could have been really nice, but we're worried about getting these icons. So enemy we have to do first, because we work from left to right, is a random enemy. So there's cards in here that are random. So that's also helpful, because you can add all of the enemy cards from Tin Helm into Tin Realm, and that way when you pull a random card, you might get something from Tin Helm. So let's just, I have no idea, I'll just do a quite little shuffle. I'll just pull a card out, and we have to fight a Bane Spider. Okay, and we did read this before. You gain 1 poison every time the Bane Spider successfully hits during combat. Now in Tin Realm, just like Tin Helm, we get to attack first. How does that work? We have to decide how much energy we want to spend. So he has, let's figure out how much health he has first. You always add the day, then whichever day it is, to the enemy's health. So this the enemy has 3 health, it's day 1, so he will have 4 health. Not too strong. He doesn't have any bonus attack, he doesn't have any bonus armor, but he does add that poison. So we want to kill him before he gets to attack. How combat works is we roll 2d6 and we subtract 1 dice from the other. So if I rolled a 4 and a 1, I would do 3 damage plus whatever energy I spent. This is a tough one. I'm going to take a little bit of a risk here, and I'm only going to spend 1 energy, because energy is hard to come by. So I spend 1 energy, I go from 10 to 9, and then I'm going to roll these 2 dice. I need to do 2 damage because out of my dice roll, because I get to add 2 because I only spent 1. So I need to do 4 damage total to kill him. And I rolled perfect. I rolled a 3 and a 1. That's the difference of 2, plus the 2 from the 1 energy that I spent is 4. He had 4 health. He is dead. I also did find the cube. It was in my Tin Helm box. Anyways, so he is defeated. I gain 1 favor, so now I do have a favor that I can spend if I do run into the Oak Warden again, or I can spend to utilize one of my abilities. I can spend 1 to reroll the enemy's dice roll, or I can spend 2 to gain 1 food, which I may have to do at some point if I don't find any food by the end of the dungeon, because then if I don't have food at the end of the dungeon, I will suffer some consequences to that. So let's keep moving on. So he is defeated. We just put him in here, back into that deck, and then we can move this card into discard, and then we get to choose where we want to place this card. I can place it on this side, which would not be smart because it would be a forest next to the water. We chose this card on purpose because we wanted to match up this mountain range icon, and it's also matched in the game. As you can see, as you place these cards next to each other, if you match the symbols, you'll really create a beautiful panoramic view of what you've adventured through during the course of the day. So now, since we match this up, we get to move 1 space. We're going to do a couple more rounds just so you get an idea of how the game plays. I do plan on doing a extended playthrough video for this game, but I think for now I'm going to get through a few rounds of this and you'll get a general idea of how the game plays. It'll be enough to get you started, and I think that'll be enough for right now. Anyways, we have the Lover's Rest. Okay, looks like a couple of people hanging from poles. Not very romantic, but there is a skull icon here. What does that mean? Well, a skull icon just is sort of blocks you. It doesn't count for moving anywhere, so they're not great. But in the extremely rare case where you happen to have skull icons on both ends of your tableau and you draw the pyramid, which has a skull icon on both sides, and you have to play and you resolve it, you match up the skull icon, you lose the game immediately. But it's extremely rare. It's not meant to happen often. It's only meant to happen so that you're aware of the possibility of it happening. So it creates a little bit of fair and tension when you're making your decisions. So you might pass on a card that has a skull just because you're worried about the outcome later on. But let's look at this card. See, this is a tough card, a tough decision for me, because it does have a water icon on the side that I need a water icon, but then I'll be sort of dead-ending myself with a skull on that side. Now I could put anything next to the skull as long as it's not a skull and there's nothing bad happens, but I'm sort of opening myself up for something potentially bad happening. But I am one who loves to take chances, so I am going to do the Lover's Rest, and then I will take the Vile Shores, which was a nasty card. It would have been a trap and a combat had I passed on this. And I will flip that over, and let's see what we run into. Ooh, well, our random encounter is an enemy. We have to fight a Crawlbone. So let us do that. Let's get another combat in here in our little tutorial video that doesn't hurt. There's our Crawlbone. As you can see, I'm a fan of the illustration I did because I added it to the board. I like how creepy it is. The Crawlbone. You lose 1 energy every time the Crawlbone successfully hits during combat. So that's not great. He is also undead, which is shown by this little icon here of a skull. Certain weapons and things affect undead differently. We don't have anything that does that. So let us decide what we're going to do here for our attack. Since we get to attack first, he has 2 defense, but we don't have to worry about that because attacks with your short bow ignore the enemy's defense. So the ranger, that's its most powerful thing, is it sort of negates all defense from enemies. So how much health does he have? 2 plus the which day it is. So he only has 3. I'm again only going to spend 1 energy, and I'm going to attack first. And I roll a 5 and a 1. I destroy him. So I did 4 damage here, plus the 2 from the energy I spent at 6. He is dead. Now, if I ever rolled double, so say I had rolled 2 5s, I miss automatically, and the same goes for an enemy. So hopefully we'll get in a combat where the enemy attacks me, so you can see how that works. But it's essentially when it's their turn to attack, say he was still alive after my attack I just did, he would just roll these, and the difference is damage he would do. He would do 1 damage. I don't have any way of defending that. I don't have a shield or anything, so I would take 1 damage. Some enemies do extra damage, 1 or 2 extra damage, and then you would add that. So it's pretty simple combat. It goes fairly quickly, but there are decisions to be made. So we killed the Crawlbone. We gained 2 more favor, so we're at 3. That is awesome. We discard him back into the deck. And what happens is now we have a water icon that we can resolve. So let's look for the water icon in here. There it is. Water. You find yourself at the edge of a river. You may attempt to fish by rolling a dice, and if the results are a 5 or a 6, you gain 1 food. Pretty simple, the same as it was in Tin Helm. And I did not get any fish or any food, so I'm still without food. So I may have to end up spending 2 energy to gain a food. So let's keep moving. So this will get discarded, and now I have to choose where to put this. Now I'm going to obviously put it here to match up the water icon, move myself 1 more space on the map card. So I'm moving along pretty well. But now I do have a skull on the one side, so if I could get myself into trouble here. Now let's see what happens. We'll do one more card and one more set of cards here, and then I think that will be enough to give you an idea, because I'm going to skip this one so you guys can see what happens if you decide to skip the top card. I don't want this card. It's not a terrible card. It's got a random encounter and it's got a campsite, so it's actually a good card to resolve, but I am being influenced by these icons, and I'm being somewhat selfish and pressing my luck here, because if I take this card, I'll get probably some good decent events here, hopefully, but the forced icon's on the wrong side. So if I were to try to place it over here, the skull would match up and nothing would happen. I could place it on this side, but then I still have a skull on this side and still nothing would happen, because it would be the forced icon matched up with the skull. So I'm going to pass on this card in hopes that I get something better. That's what I'm going to do. So I pass on it. When you pass on a card, you flip it over, and that becomes the results for the next card. Now I have to resolve the next card, and I have found the dark pool, which is mountains on both sides, which doesn't necessarily help me because I don't have mountains in either location, but I could place it over here to sort of block off that skull, so I don't have to worry about the skull. Look what's coming up next, the pyramid. Whew. Okay, so I have an enemy. I have to deal with another crawl bone and a water icon again. So interesting that this is sort of the same scenario we just went through, just happened in a different way. So there's our crawl bone. We'll fight him again. And I'm going to spend 1 energy again. Let's see if I can knock him out. First try. Uh-oh, I missed. So I get to do no damage, and it is his turn to attack. I don't have any food for my raven, because that would be nice if I had an abundance of food. I could have spent the food to have the crawl bone miss his attack. Okay, so he's going to get to attack me, and I could potentially lose an energy if he hits me. I could spend energy. How much do I have to spend? 1 energy to re-roll his attack. So if he rolls something really devastating, I may have to do that. So let's see, a 4 and a 6. He does 2 damage. That's not too bad. I will take that damage. 1, 2. And I lose 1 energy. That is not good. I'm down to 6 energy. And now I'm going to attack back. I'm going to spend 1 energy again, because that's all I really need. I just got unlucky and rolled doubles. Oh, I rolled doubles again. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, so this is escalating very quickly. A weak enemy like this is can take you out in this game. Now I do have ways of mitigating this, but I'm hesitant to spend them this early in the game. I couldn't make him re-roll his attack, but then I'm just hoping that he misses. Oh, he gets 1 damage in, which isn't devastating, but I do lose an energy, so I'm down to 4 energy. That is not great. I'm going to spend 1 energy again, and hopefully I don't roll doubles, because this will be terrible. Oh, I got at least 1 in, so I got 1 damage here, plus the 2 damage from the 1 energy I spent is 3. He had 3 to begin with, so he is eliminated. I gained 2 more favor, so I'm getting a lot of favor, which is going to be useful for me later on, and I get to discard this card. I get to put this into discard, and then I get to place this wherever I want. Now I could place it here, but then they don't match up, and it doesn't really help me in any substantial way. So I will put it over here, and that will allow me to have mountains open on this side and forest open on this side. So I have a potential chance to move more along the board. So that is how Tin Realm works. Thank you very much for stopping by and watching this video. Like I said, in the future I do plan on making a full playthrough video, but I'm sure once this game gets out there that there's going to be quite a few different people out there making videos for this game. And anyone who's familiar with Tin Helm should have a very good idea as to how this plays out. So thank you very much for stopping by, and please spread the word about this game. Thank you.